Have you ever stared at a map of the world and thought to yourself, surely we've discovered everything there is to know? Satellites scan the Earth, airplanes cross every ocean, and technology has made it seem as though no corner of our planet is left uncharted. But that belief is far from the truth, because even in our modern world, there are places that remain hidden, mysterious and utterly forbidden. These places exist. You can point to them on a map. You can read about them in government reports or hear whispers about them in late-night conversations. Yet for one reason or another, you cannot go there. They are sealed off to protect us, or perhaps to protect themselves from us. Some are dangerous realms where nature itself would overwhelm a human visitor. Others are kept under lock and key by governments or organizations who prefer their secrets to stay buried. And some are places so fragile that simply stepping foot inside would destroy what makes them special. What makes these locations so irresistible to our imagination is not just that they are real, but that they are closed. Human beings have always been explorers. We crossed oceans in fragile ships, scaled mountains that scraped the sky, even sent rockets into space. Our history is filled with boundary breakers who looked at the words, "Do not enter," and chose to push forward anyway. And yet, here in the 21st century, entire islands, vaults, and even cities remain out of reach. Why? Because mystery has power. It holds our curiosity hostage, forcing us to wonder what lies beyond the fence. What secrets are hidden behind the locked door? What truths might we never be told? Tonight we're going to take a journey to 10 of the most mysterious places in the world that you absolutely cannot visit. From haunted islands where the cries of the past still echo, to military deserts where rumors of aliens swirl, to sacred vaults filled with knowledge that could rewrite history, we'll uncover the stories of these forbidden places, even if we can never set foot inside. So prepare yourself for a trip across continents and centuries, into jungles, caves, mountains, and shadows. These are not fantasy lands. They are very real. And while we may never walk their paths, their mysteries belong to all of us. This is 10 most mysterious places that you cannot visit. In the turquoise waters of the Bay of Bengal, east of India, lies a small speck of land called North Sentinel Island. To the untrained eye, it looks like a tropical paradise. Dense forests surrounded by coral reefs, untouched beaches glowing under the sun. But beneath this beauty lies one of the most impenetrable mysteries of our modern world, because on North Sentinel Island lives a people who have resisted the outside world for tens of thousands of years. The Sentinelese. The Sentinelese are considered one of the last, truly uncontacted tribes on Earth. Anthropologists believe they may have lived in isolation for as long as 60,000 years, making them a living window into humanity's distant past. Unlike other cultures that were eventually absorbed into global society, the Sentinelese have fiercely rejected all contact. Whenever outsiders attempt to approach, the islanders make their intentions unmistakably clear. They emerge from the trees with bows, arrows, and spears, warning strangers to leave immediately. Boats that drift too close are met with hostility. In 2006, 2 fishermen who anchored near the island were killed almost instantly. Even helicopters flying overhead during rescue operations have been shot at with arrows. Their hostility isn't senseless aggression, it is survival. History has shown that when isolated tribes are exposed to the modern world, diseases like the flu or measles, harmless to most of us, can wipe out entire populations. The Sentinelese have no immunity to outside illnesses. A single handshake, a cough, even a shared tool could doom them. That's why the Indian government, which controls the surrounding waters, has declared the island strictly off limits. Entering within 5 nautical miles is illegal. Naval patrols circle the waters to ensure no one approaches. The goal is to protect both outsiders and the tribe itself. But the mystery of North Sentinel Island is more than just its isolation. It's what we don't know. We don't know their language. We don't know their customs, their stories, their beliefs. We don't know how they hunt, how they build, or how they love. Their entire culture exists in a bubble sealed from the rest of humanity, and every attempt to pierce that bubble risks destroying it forever. One of the most infamous incidents occurred in 2018, when an American missionary named John Chow attempted to land on the island to spread Christianity. Despite warnings, he paid fishermen to take him close, then paddled to shore with gifts. Within hours, he was killed. His body was never recovered. The incident sparked international debate. Was Chow a martyr or a reckless intruder? Either way, his death reaffirmed the island's deadly message. Outsiders are not welcome. The Sentinelese remain one of the great enigmas of our species. Could their DNA hold secrets about ancient human migrations? Could their stories echo myths passed down from humanity's earliest days? Possibly, but to study them would be to destroy them. And so their world remains locked away, a living time capsule floating in the Indian Ocean. North Sentinel Island reminds us of a sobering truth. Not all mysteries are meant to be solved. Some are sacred, some are fragile, and sometimes the most respectful act of discovery is to walk away. In the barren Nevada desert, surrounded by mountains and guarded by fences, lies one of the most infamous forbidden places on Earth, Area. Many of you locations have fueled as many conspiracy theories, myths, and legends. To the public, it is synonymous with UFOs, aliens, and secret technology. To the government, it's just a testing site. But one thing is undeniable. Area 51 is real, and it is strictly off-limits. The base was established in 1955 during the Cold War as a top-secret testing ground for experimental aircraft. Here, the U.S. Air Force developed spy planes like the U-2, the SR-71 Blackbird, and the stealth bomber. For decades, even the base's existence was denied. Maps simply showed a blank desert. This secrecy only fueled speculation about what else might be happening inside. Rumors of UFOs began in the late 20th century, especially after locals reported strange lights and fast-moving objects in the night sky. Could they have been alien craft? In truth, most sightings were likely advanced jets being tested. But secrecy breeds imagination, and soon, Area 51 became the epicenter of alien lore. Some believe alien spacecraft are hidden in underground bunkers. Others claim the bodies of extraterrestrials from the infamous Roswell crash are stored here. Hollywood fed these ideas, turning Area 51 into a cultural icon. Today, even though there's little evidence for such claims, the idea of aliens at Area 51 is practically inseparable from the site itself. But what makes Area 51 truly mysterious is its extreme security. The perimeter is guarded 24/7 by armed patrols, known as camo dudes. Signs warn trespassers that deadly force is authorized. Roads leading toward the base are monitored by motion sensors. The airspace above it is one of the few permanent no-fly zones in the United States. Even commercial jets flying nearby must divert their paths. In 2019, a Facebook joke event called Storm Area 51 went viral, with millions claiming they would rush the base to see them aliens. In reality, only a few thousand showed up in nearby towns, and no one actually stormed the gates. The military issued warnings beforehand. Trying to enter would be no laughing matter. So what is really happening inside Area 51 today? Most experts believe it remains a hub for developing next-generation aircraft and drones. If the U-2 and stealth bomber were once secrets, imagine what projects might be underway now. Hypersonic planes? Space weapons? Technology decades ahead of what the public knows. We may never know for sure, and maybe that's exactly the point. Area 51's mystique lies not in answers, but in the questions it forces us to ask, because sometimes the unknown is more powerful than the truth. Beneath the hills of southwestern France lies a treasure unlike any other, the Lascaux Caves, a vast underground gallery covered with breathtaking paintings, created by humans over 17,000 years ago. Discovered in 1940 by 4 teenagers and their dog, these caves are often described as the Sistine Chapel of prehistory. Inside, the walls and ceilings are alive with depictions of animals, horses, bison, stags, and bulls, rendered with such artistry that even modern painters are humbled by their beauty. Over 600 paintings and thousands of engravings cover the limestone, capturing a frozen moment in time from the Ice Age. But you can't visit them, not anymore. When the caves were first opened to the public in 1948, thousands of visitors flocked to see this window into humanity's distant past. But within just a few years, disaster struck. The breath of tourists introduced carbon dioxide, heat, and humidity that began to damage the fragile art. Mold and fungus spread across the walls, the ancient pigments began to fade. By 1963, scientists realized that if the caves weren't sealed, we could lose them forever. The French government closed Lascaux permanently. Since then, entry has been restricted to only a handful of scientists each year, working under strict conditions to preserve the paintings. Today, the only way to experience Lascaux is through painstaking replicas. Entire cave sections have been recreated. First, Lascaux 2 in the 1980s, then Lascaux 4 in 2016, which uses advanced projection technology to replicate every stroke of pigment, every crack in the wall. These replicas allow visitors to marvel at the art without risking the original. Still, the real caves remain tantalizingly out of reach. Imagine standing in the same darkness where early humans once painted by flickering torchlight. Imagine listening to their chants echo through the stone as they created these masterpieces, art that may have been part of rituals, storytelling, or even an early form of spirituality. The mystery of Lascaux isn't just in the paintings themselves, but in their meaning. Why did our ancestors spend so much time creating such vivid images deep underground, in places so difficult to reach? Some theories suggest they were hunting guides or spiritual totems. Others believe they were a way of connecting with the supernatural, summoning luck for the tribe. But perhaps the greatest mystery is that we may never truly know. The voices of those ancient artists are lost to time. All that remains are the images they left behind, sealed forever within a cave that no modern human may enter. The Lascaux caves remind us of something profound. Human creativity is as old as humanity itself, and sometimes the most sacred places must remain hidden, not for secrecy, but for survival. Just off the coast of Venice lies a small island with a dark reputation, Poveglia. On maps, it looks like any other patch of land. But ask the locals, and you'll hear a different story. Poveglia is considered one of the most haunted places in the world, an island cursed by centuries of death and suffering. The horror begins in the Middle Ages, when Venice was ravaged by waves of bubonic plague. To stop the disease from spreading, victims were sent to quarantine zones, places of exile, where the sick and dying were left to rot. Poveglia was one such island. Ships carrying plague victims were forced to dock there, and thousands were dumped into pits of burning corpses. Historians estimate that over 100,000 people died on Poveglia. The soil is said to be mixed with human ash. To this day, fishermen avoid casting their nets near its shores, fearing what they might pull up. But the island's grim story didn't end there. In the early 20th century, it became home to a psychiatric asylum. Patients claim to hear whispers and see shadows. Legend tells of a sadistic doctor who performed cruel experiments, drilling holes into skulls in the name of treatment. Driven mad by guilt or by the spirits themselves, he is said to have thrown himself from the bell tower. Today, the asylum is a ruin. Crumbling walls, broken windows, and vines overtaking the buildings paint a chilling picture. The Italian government has banned public access, citing safety concerns. But many believe the real reason is more sinister. Poveglia is cursed. Ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts whisper of screams at night, shadowy figures and strange mists. Locals refuse to step foot there, calling it the Island of Death. Even attempts to auction the island for redevelopment have failed. Investors pull out, unnerved by its reputation. Whether or not you believe in ghosts, the island's tragic history is undeniable. Too much pain has seeped into its soil. Too many lives ended in terror. Poveglia is not just a forbidden place, it is a graveyard, a scar on history that refuses to heal. For centuries, humans have avoided it, and perhaps that's for the best. Some places are forbidden not by law, but by memory, and Poveglia stands as one of the darkest reminders of how horror can linger long after the screams have faded. Some who have visited illegally claim that the silence of Poveglia is unlike anywhere else. There are no birds, no rustle of wildlife, only the faint lapping of water against the island's edge. The stillness is suffocating, broken only by the occasional groan of wind slipping through broken windows or rattling rusted doors. For many, the atmosphere alone is enough to send them fleeing before nightfall. Stories circulate among Venetians of boats that vanished after daring to dock on the island, their occupants never seen again. While these tales are impossible to verify, they add to the island's menacing aura. Sailors often remark that when fog settles thick across the lagoon, Poveglia seems to disappear entirely, as if swallowed by the very waters that once carried thousands of plague victims to their fate. The bell tower, still standing despite centuries of decay, has become a focal point of ghost stories. Locals say its chimes can sometimes be heard across the water, though the bell was removed long ago. To many, the phantom toll is a grim reminder of the doctor's final act and the countless screams that once echoed within the asylum walls. Even in modern times, fascination with Poveglia hasn't faded. Paranormal investigators lobby for access, hoping to capture evidence of spirits. Writers, filmmakers, and thrill-seekers speak of it as the ultimate destination for anyone seeking proof of the afterlife. Yet, year after year, the government denies entry, leaving the island shrouded in secrecy. Perhaps it is better that way. Some places resist closure because they were never meant to be healed. Poveglia stands as one of those rare locations where history is not buried. It is alive, lingering in the air, whispering through the ruins, and warning anyone who dares to come too close. Off the southern coast of Iceland, a strange new island rose from the sea in 1963. It was born in fire, as a volcanic eruption under the ocean tore through the waves and built a fresh landmass. Over the course of 4 years, lava hardened into rock, creating a barren, smoking island. When the eruption ended in 1967, the world had gained something extraordinary: Surtsey. Named after Surtur, a fire giant from Norse mythology, Surtsey is one of the youngest islands on Earth. At first, it was nothing but black volcanic rock, harsh, lifeless, and seemingly uninhabitable. But then something amazing happened. Life began to arrive. Seeds carried by ocean currents washed ashore. Birds flew in, nesting in the cracks. Insects drifted on the wind. Slowly, mosses, lichens, and grasses began to take root. Over decades, Surtsey transformed into a living laboratory for scientists to watch evolution unfold in real time. But here's the catch: you cannot visit Surtsey. Access is strictly prohibited. Only a handful of scientists, operating under strict biosecurity measures, are allowed to set foot there. No tourists, no adventurers, no casual explorers. Why? Because Surtsey is one of the most important natural experiments in history. It is a unique chance to see how life colonizes a brand new land with no human interference. Even a single footprint, a snack wrapper, or an introduced plant species could disrupt the delicate process. In fact, this nearly happened. In the early years of research, a scientist accidentally brought tomato seeds in his lunch. When tomato plants sprouted, they had to be carefully removed to preserve the island's natural ecosystem. That incident showed just how easily humans could ruin the experiment. Today, Surtsey is home to over 300 plant species, thriving bird colonies, and rich marine life along its coasts. The island is shrinking, waves constantly erode it, but for now, it remains a pristine cradle of creation. The mystery of Surtsey lies not in secrets hidden by humans, but in secrets revealed by nature itself. Watching an island grow, watching life take hold, where once there was nothing, that is a mystery as profound as any lost treasure or forbidden vault. And so the gates remain closed, not because Surtsey is dangerous, but because it is precious. To step onto its shores would be to trample a miracle in progress. For Icelanders, Surtsey is more than a scientific marvel. It is almost sacred, a reminder of how the Earth is still alive, still shaping itself in dramatic and unpredictable ways. Many locals liken the island to a window into the planet's youth, an echo of how Iceland itself must have looked when it first emerged from the sea millions of years ago. To gaze upon Surtsey from a distance is to witness the Earth in the act of creation, process usually hidden beneath the ocean's surface or buried deep within time. What makes Surtsey so remarkable is the speed at which it has changed. Within only a few decades, a once sterile rock became a thriving ecosystem. Puffin seagulls and fulmars now nest across the island, their guano enriching the soil and enabling more plants to grow. Even seals haul out on its beaches, basking in the same sun that once baked its black lava fields. Scientists have documented how these species create a self-sustaining cycle. Plants give shelter, Birds bring nutrients, insects spread pollen, all without human intervention. The lessons Circe provides go beyond biology. For geologists, it reveals how land is forged, shaped, and eventually destroyed by the relentless power of the ocean. For ecologists, it offers a rare chance to see how life takes hold in an untouched environment. For philosophers and dreamers, it represents a fragile reminder of our place in the natural order. We are witnesses, not masters of Earth's creativity. And yet the island will not last forever. Erosion is steadily wearing it down wave by wave. In time, much of Circe will vanish beneath the sea, but the knowledge gained from its brief existence may outlive the island itself, teaching us not only about the birth of land, but also about the responsibility we carry in protecting the planet's rarest wonders. At the heart of Vatican City, behind imposing walls and guarded doors, lies a collection so vast and so secretive that it fuels endless speculation. The Vatican Secret Archives. The very name sparks intrigue. What knowledge could be so dangerous, so sensitive, that it must be locked away from the public? Some imagine forbidden texts, lost gospels, or evidence that could shake the foundations of Christianity. In truth, the secret in the name comes from the Latin word secretum, meaning private. The archives are not secret in the sense of conspiracy, but secret in the sense of ownership. They belong to the Pope. Yet, despite this explanation, mystery lingers. The archives are immense, stretching nearly 53 miles of shelving filled with manuscripts, letters and records spanning over 200 years. Documents include correspondence from kings and emperors, records of trials like that of Galileo, and letters from figures such as Michelangelo. In short, it is the memory of Western civilization, bound in parchment and ink. But here's the rule: you cannot simply walk in. Access is limited to approved scholars, and even they may only request specific documents. No browsing, no wandering the endless corridors. The public is completely barred. This secrecy naturally breeds rumors. Some claim the archives hold proof of alien encounters, hidden prophecies, or evidence that contradicts official church teachings. Others whisper about lost books of the Bible, or even a chronicle of Jesus' life written in his own hand. None of these claims have been proven. But because the vaults are sealed, the imagination runs wild. Even the logistics of the archives add to the aura of mystery. The storage system is so vast that it requires its own climate control, elevators, and cataloging systems. Yet much of it is said to remain unindexed. There could be treasures of knowledge that no modern human has read in centuries. Every so often, the Vatican releases a limited portion of its collection for study or display. But the core remains locked away. The reasons may be practical. Fragile documents must be protected from decay or political, shielding sensitive records about the Church's past alliances and conflicts. Whatever the truth, the Vatican Secret Archives remind us of the enduring power of knowledge. Information can liberate, inspire, or destabilize entire civilizations. Perhaps that's why some doors must stay closed, because once opened, there's no turning back. For centuries, the very existence of the archives was hidden from ordinary people. Only in the late 19th century did Pope Leo III permit limited scholarly access, an act that shocked many at the time. Even then, strict restrictions remained. A researcher must know precisely what to request, citing an exact file or document, as if one were ordering a book from a library whose shelves could never be seen. The corridors themselves, lined with priceless scrolls and illuminated manuscripts, remain the domain of archivists and clergy alone. The mystique of the archives has only deepened with time. Historians speculate that locked away in those miles of shelves may be detailed accounts of the Crusades, the Inquisition, and secret diplomatic negotiations that shaped Europe. Some suggest there may even be documents detailing the Church's position on scientific discoveries long before they were made public. The possibility that these papers could rewrite entire chapters of history is enough to keep both scholars and conspiracy theorists fascinated. Technology has begun to play a role in lifting part of the veil. Portions of the collection have been digitized for preservation, but the Vatican carefully controls which documents are made available. Even in an age where information seems boundless, the archives remain one of the last bastions of true secrecy. For the public, this raises a tantalizing question. What knowledge is considered too dangerous, too controversial, or too disruptive to share? Perhaps it is nothing more than routine papal correspondence, but perhaps hidden deep in the vaults lie revelations that could alter the world's understanding of religion, politics, or even humanity itself. Until the doors are opened, the Vatican's secret archives will remain a monument to the unknown, a reminder that some truths, for better or worse, remain deliberately hidden. About 90 miles off the coast of São Paulo, Brazil, lies an island so deadly that even its name inspires dread. Ilha da Queimada Grande, better known as Snake Island. On the surface, it looks like a lush tropical paradise, but step ashore and you enter a nightmare. The island is home to thousands of venomous snakes, most famously the golden lancehead viper, one of the deadliest snakes on Earth. Estimates suggest there may be one snake for every square meter. Imagine walking through a forest where every step, every branch, and every shadow might conceal a creature capable of killing within hours. The golden lancehead's venom is so potent that it can melt human flesh. Its bite causes rapid tissue damage, internal bleeding, and organ failure. Without treatment, death is almost certain. And on Snake Island, there is no treatment, no hospital, no escape. Because of this danger, the Brazilian government has banned all visits. The only people allowed are scientists conducting research under strict supervision. Even then, they must take extraordinary precautions. Legends swirl around the island. Some claim pirates once used it to hide treasure, knowing no one would dare recover it. Others whisper of lighthouse keepers who died after snakes slithered through their windows. But the real mystery lies in how the golden lanceheads came to exist in such numbers. Scientists believe that thousands of years ago, rising sea levels cut the island off from the mainland, trapping a population of snakes. With no predators and plenty of prey, they thrived. Over time, their venom grew more lethal to quickly kill birds before they could fly away. Today, the island is a chilling example of evolution at its most extreme. It is not a place for humans. It never was. And perhaps that's the lesson. Nature does not belong to us. Some lands are ruled not by people, but by creatures who have adapted to their environment with deadly perfection. Snake Island is a reminder that mystery can be as terrifying as it is fascinating. We may wonder what it's like to walk its jungles, but some doors are better left unopened, because on Snake Island, curiosity truly could kill the cat. What makes Snake Island so unsettling is not just the snakes themselves, but the sense of inescapable danger that hangs over every inch of land. Unlike other wild places, there is no safe path, no corner untouched by the vipers. Scientists who study the island describe an eerie tension in the air, the constant awareness that one wrong move could mean a fatal encounter. Even setting foot on the island requires permission from the Brazilian Navy, and expeditions are short, carefully planned and heavily monitored. The golden lancehead is also unique in more ways than its venom. It exists nowhere else on Earth. Ilha da Queimada Grande is the only home of this rare species, making it both a place of fear and of conservation importance. Paradoxically, the same snakes that make the island so deadly are also what make it valuable to science. Their venom has been studied for potential medical uses, including treatments for heart disease and blood clots. In this way, the island represents a paradox, a natural nightmare that might hold the key to saving lives. Over the years, myths have magnified Snake Island's reputation. Local fishermen tell tales of boats drifting too close and never returning. Stories circulate of treasure hunters who dared to land, only to be overwhelmed by vipers within minutes. One enduring legend speaks of the last lighthouse keeper and his family, who were allegedly attacked after snakes slipped through cracks in their home. Whether fact or folklore, these tales have become part of the island's haunted identity. From a scientific perspective, Snake Island also illustrates the raw power of isolation. Cut off from the mainland, the snakes evolved in unusual ways. With only migratory birds to prey on, they developed faster-acting venom to strike quickly before prey escaped. It's a chilling reminder of how nature adapts with ruthless efficiency. Where humans see a paradise gone wrong, evolution has written a success story, an apex predator perfectly designed for its environment. Despite the danger, Curiosity about Snake Island never fades. Adventure seekers fantasize about setting foot there, while filmmakers and writers use it as inspiration for tales of survival and terror. Yet the Brazilian government's ban remains firm, and for good reason. A single accident could be fatal, and disturbing the fragile ecosystem could threaten both the snakes and the scientific research that depends on them. In the end, Snake Island is more than just a forbidden place. It's a symbol of nature's untamed authority. It reminds us that the world still holds corners where humanity cannot safely tread, where survival belongs to creatures far better adapted than we are. To look upon Ilha da Queimada Grande from afar is to glimpse a realm where evolution, danger, and mystery converge, and to understand that sometimes the most fascinating places on Earth are the ones we are never meant to enter. Deep inside Pyongyang, within the concrete walls of the Workers' Party headquarters, lies a place most will never see, a place whispered about in hushed tones, feared even among the ruling elite. It is called Room 39. Officially, it doesn't exist, or at least, no one can say for certain what happens behind its doors. But defectors, intelligence reports, and scattered documents paint a chilling picture. Room 39 is said to be the Puner financial nerve, center of North Korea's secret economy, a hidden empire that fuels both the survival of the state and the luxury of its rulers. The birth of shadows. Room 39 was reportedly created in the 1970s under Kim Il-sung, the founding leader of North Korea. As the Cold War raged, the regime needed foreign currency to buy resources, technology, and luxuries from abroad. Isolated and heavily sanctioned, North Korea couldn't simply trade openly. Instead, it built the hidden system of financial networks, tucked away behind bureaucracy. With Room 39 at its core, the name sounds almost ordinary, like just another office in the sprawling government complex. But those who know whisper otherwise. They call it an Office of Shadows, a command center where money, power, and secrecy converge, a vault of secrets. Defectors describe Room 39 as controlling billions of dollars in assets. It is believed to manage the ruling family's slush funds, offshore bank accounts, and secret businesses abroad. Some say it finances everything from weapons programs to palaces, from imported cars to fine cognac for the leaders' table. The operations allegedly stretch across the globe. Front companies in China, Southeast Asia, and even Europe are said to funnel money back into Pyongyang. Fake pharmaceuticals, counterfeited 100 bills, and illicit trade in gold, coal, and even endangered animal parts have all been linked, in one way or another, to Room 39. Of course, hard evidence is scarce. That is by design. The entire system is cloaked in deniability, layers upon layers of intermediaries, so that no finger can point directly at Pyongyang, a kingdom's treasury. Some defectors claim Room 39 is less an office and more a state within a state right. It provides the foreign currency that keeps the ruling Kim family in power. Through its accounts, money is funneled to buy loyalty, reward elites, and maintain the lifestyle of privilege for the inner circle. Luxury cars, Rolex watches, French wines, and even rare horses have reportedly been imported thanks to the funds controlled here. In a country where ordinary citizens struggle with shortages, Room 39 ensures that the elite live in comfort, and that loyalty to the supreme leader comes with tangible rewards. The web of illicit trade. Western intelligence agencies accuse Room 39 of running an astonishing range of illicit operations. These reportedly include counterfeit currency. North Korea is believed to have produced super notes, fake US 100 bills, so perfect that experts struggle to detect them. Drug trafficking, past incidents, linked North Korean diplomats to heroin and methamphetamine smuggling. Arms deals reports suggest sales of weapons and technology to nations under sanctions or to militant groups. Cybercrime. In recent years, North Korea has been accused of running sophisticated hacking operations, stealing hundreds of millions from banks and cryptocurrency exchanges. Whether or not all these claims are true, one thing is clear: the regime has survived decades of sanctions, isolation, and famine, and Room 39 may be the reason why. The human side of power. Beyond money, Room 39 symbolizes something deeper: control. In a nation where every aspect of life is tightly monitored, foreign currency is power. Access to dollars or euros can mean privilege, influence, even survival. By keeping control of those resources within Room 39, the Kim dynasty ensures that no rival faction can rise too high. Defectors often describe it as a golden cage. The elite may enjoy imported champagne and luxury apartments, but their wealth is tied directly to the leader's hand. Room 39 gives and Room 39 can take away. They're shrouded in rumors. Like many things in North Korea, separating fact from rumor is almost impossible. Some claim Room 39 has entire floors dedicated to financial schemes, staffed by hundreds of loyal bureaucrats. Others insist it is little more than a metaphor for a network of secret accounts spread worldwide. A few even suggest that the name Room 39 is a deliberate misdirection, a code meant to confuse outsiders about where the real decisions are made. What is certain is that its existence has been acknowledged, at least indirectly. International sanctions lists specifically mention entities believed to be controlled by Room 39. Banks have been warned to watch for suspicious accounts linked to it. The smoke may be thick, but it suggests a very real fire. They're a nation in the dark. For ordinary North Koreans, Room 39 is a distant, invisible entity. They will never see it, never benefit from it, and never speak of it. While the elite sip foreign liquor, the average citizen endures blackouts, food shortages, and strict rationing. In this way, Room 39 becomes a symbol of the gulf between ruler and ruled, a reminder that the state's survival and its luxuries are bought at the people's expense. Mount Weather, USA, the Doomsday Shelter. Hidden among the rolling peaks of Virginia's Blue Ridge Mountains, about 50 miles from Washington, D.C., lies a place almost no one will ever see. Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center. From the outside, it looks unremarkable. A quiet federal facility, fenced off, patrolled, and shrouded in trees. But beneath the surface, deep inside the granite of the mountain, lies one of the United States government's most secretive shelters. A place designed to ensure that, in the event of catastrophe, the government would endure, even if ordinary citizens would not. The Cold War origins. The story of Mount Weather begins in the tense years of the Cold War. After World War II, as nuclear weapons grew more powerful and tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union escalated, American leaders faced a terrifying question. What happens if Washington, D.C. is destroyed in a nuclear strike? The answer was continuity of government. Plans were drawn up to ensure that, even if the capital was obliterated, the leadership of the nation would survive in hidden bunkers. Mount Weather, built in the 1950s, became one of the crown jewels of this survival strategy. A city underground. What lies beneath Mount Weather is not just a bunker. Defectors, documents, and declassified reports describe something closer to an underground city. Carved into the granite are miles of tunnels and chambers, complete with dormitories for hundreds of officials, offices and meeting rooms, where government could continue to function, a hospital, fully equipped for emergencies, dining halls and kitchens, capable of feeding the hidden population for months, water reservoirs and air filtration systems, designed to withstand radiation and fallout. The entire complex is said to be self-sustaining, sealed off from the outside world if necessary. At the height of Cold War fears, Mount Weather represented the ultimate insurance policy for American governance. Who gets in? But here's the uncomfortable truth. Mount Weather was never designed for everyone. In the event of nuclear war, top officials, the president, cabinet members, congressional leaders, military commanders would be rushed here by helicopter or convoy. Families of these officials might also be allowed, but the general public, ordinary citizens, they were never part of the plan. This stark reality fueled a grim understanding. When disaster struck, there would be two Americas, one protected inside Mount Weather and another left outside, facing the devastation. For decades, the very existence of Mount Weather was classified. Its location was whispered about, but never officially confirmed. Journalists who tried to investigate often hit a wall of silence. Local residents in Virginia spoke of mysterious government trucks entering hidden gates or helicopters vanishing into the trees. But official details remained scarce. The secrecy was deliberate. If adversaries knew too much about the shelter, it could become a target. But secrecy also shielded Mount Weather from public scrutiny. Few Americans knew that such a place even existed, let alone that their leaders had a safe haven while the population did not. The day the secret emerged, Mount Weather remained in the shadows until December 1974, when disaster struck. A commercial airliner, TWA Flight 14, crashed into the side of the mountain during poor weather, killing all 92 people on board. When first responders rushed to the scene, they discovered something startling. Just over the ridge from the crash site lay a massive, highly secured federal installation. The tragedy inadvertently exposed the existence of Mount Weather to the world. From that day forward, the open secret could no longer be denied. Reporters began piecing together its purpose, and slowly the image of a doomsday shelter for America's elite came into focus. Life inside the bunker. Though much remains classified, reports suggest that Mount Weather is designed to operate like a mirror government. Every major federal agency supposedly has offices or representatives there. In the event Washington is destroyed, Mount Weather could serve as the temporary capital of the United States. There are said to be secure communication lines, war rooms for military coordination, and even a vault for classified documents. One account described underground roads large, enough for vehicles to move within the complex. In essence, Mount Weather isn't just a shelter. It is a backup Washington. DC is waiting in the dark. One might think that after the Cold War ended, Mount Weather would become a relic, but in reality its importance only grew. During the 9/11 terrorist attacks and in 2001, top congressional leaders were reportedly evacuated to Mount Weather as a precaution, proving that the site remains active and ready, even in the modern era. Since then, concerns about nuclear terrorism, cyber attacks, and even pandemics have kept continuity of government plans alive. Mount Weather is still staffed, still maintained, and still prepared for the unthinkable. In the end, Mount Weather is more than just a bunker. It is a reminder of the fragile line between survival and annihilation. It tells us that in times of crisis, governments prepare, but not always equally, and not always transparently. Mezhgorye, Russia, the closed city, hidden deep within the Ural Mountains, lies a town you cannot visit. Its name is Mezhgorye. On the surface, it looks ordinary enough. Satellite images reveal neat rows of apartment blocks, schools, sports facilities, even shops. It is home to several thousand people, and yet, you cannot drive in. You cannot book a trip there. Checkpoints guard every road and the entire town is sealed off from the outside world. Mezhgorye is what the Russians call a closed city. But what makes this one different, what makes Mezhgorye stand out, is what lies nearby. Mount Yamantau. A massive mountain wrapped in rumors of an enormous underground complex. To understand Mezhgorye, you first have to understand the history of closed cities in Russia. During the Soviet era, dozens of towns were wiped from official maps. They had no names, no road signs, and sometimes even their mail went to coded addresses. These places were built for secret military projects, nuclear research, weapons testing, and intelligence gathering. People who lived there often had better rations, better housing, and higher pay, but they were cut off from the outside world, sworn to secrecy, and watched closely. Leaving required special permits. Visitors were forbidden. When the Soviet Union collapsed in the 1990s, many of these closed cities opened up, but not Mezhgorye. This one stayed sealed, guarded, and mysterious. At the heart of the mystery is Mount Yamantau. Rising more than 5,000 feet above the Urals, it is one of the highest peaks in the region. But the real interest isn't in the mountain itself. It's what many believe lies inside it. Reports going back decades suggest that the Soviets and later the Russians hollowed out the mountain to build an enormous underground facility. Its purpose? That's where the speculation begins. Some say it is a nuclear command bunker, large enough to shelter tens of thousands of people in case of all-out war. Others whisper that it may be a vast weapons depot, storing missiles, bombs, or even experimental technology. A few suggest something stranger, that it could be a vault for national treasures, a Russian equivalent of Fort Knox, hidden away from prying eyes. The truth has never been confirmed, and that silence fuels the mystery. The first real glimpses into Medjugorje came in the 1990s, after the fall of the Soviet Union. Journalists, Western analysts, even US intelligence agencies began asking questions. Why was Russia continuing massive construction projects at Mount Yamantau when the economy was collapsing? Why were thousands of workers being moved to this remote site, guarded by soldiers? Satellite images reportedly showed large excavation zones, rail lines, and heavy equipment moving in and out of the mountain. US officials openly admitted they didn't know what Russia was building there. The town reportedly houses several thousand residents, many of them military families and workers assigned to the nearby facility. Unlike many small Russian towns, Medjugorje is said to be well kept, with modern housing and amenities. The residents live ordinary lives. Children go to school, shops sell groceries, families stroll in the parks. And yet, it all happens under strict surveillance. Outsiders are never allowed in. Roads leading to the city are blocked by checkpoints. Visitors need special authorization, which is rarely granted. Even Russians from nearby towns cannot casually enter. In that sense, life in Medjugorje is both normal and extraordinary. Ordinary daily routines unfolding behind an invisible wall of secrecy. What keeps the world's attention on Medjugorje is not what we know, it's what we don't. American intelligence agencies have long suspected that Mount Yamantau hides Russia's one doomsday infrastructure. If nuclear war broke out, leaders, military commanders, and essential personnel might retreat into the mountain, continuing to govern from deep underground. Some reports claim the complex could be as large as a small city, capable of sustaining life for months or even years. The lack of evidence only makes the speculation stronger. In many ways, Medjugorje has been compared to America's own secret site, Mount Weather in Virginia, or even Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, home of NORAD. Like those facilities, it is built for survival at the highest level. But Medjugorje is unique because it is not just a bunker. It is paired with a whole town designed to support it. It's as if the city itself exists only to serve the mountain, feeding it with workers, families, and secrecy. One of the strangest parts of the mystery is how little Russia says about Medjugorje. In a country where propaganda is often loud and bold, the silence around Mount Yamantau stands out. Perhaps it is intentional. Keeping the world guessing adds to the deterrent. If adversaries don't know what lies inside, they must assume the worst. And in the shadowy world of nuclear strategy, ambiguity can be as powerful as truth. But there's another layer too, the human one. Imagine living in a place that doesn't officially welcome outsiders, where your address might not even be recognized, where every trip out requires permission, and where you are constantly reminded that the town's very existence depends on secrecy. For the people of Medjugorje, this is daily life, protected but also isolated, privileged in some ways but cut off in others. A town that exists and yet does not, hidden in plain sight. Today, Medjugorje is still on maps, but it remains closed. Tourists can hike the surrounding mountains, but they cannot enter the city. Trains and buses don't stop there. Satellite images show its neat rows of houses, but what happens inside the mountain itself remains unknown. And so, we come to the end of our journey. 10 places on Earth that remain hidden, forbidden or impossible to reach. We have traveled through volcanic islands born in fire, haunted ruins echoing with forgotten voices, caves painted by ancient hands, and fortresses carved into mountains. We've glimpsed secret bases where the future of nations is planned, and islands where stepping ashore could mean certain death. Each of these places carries its own aura of mystery, but together they reveal something even greater, that the world is far stranger, more complex and more unknowable than we often allow ourselves to believe. At first glance, Surtsey, Snake Island, Area 51, and the Vatican archives might seem to have little in common. One is a natural laboratory, another is a death trap, one is a fortress of secrecy, and another is a treasure trove of ancient knowledge. Yet they are united by a single idea: the human boundary. Each one represents a line we cannot cross. Sometimes that line is drawn by nature itself. Impenetrable jungles, venomous snakes, deadly waters. Other times the line is enforced by human hands, guards, laws, walls, and secrecy. But whether the barrier is natural or man-made, the effect is the same. It ignites our imagination. Because when something is forbidden, it becomes more alluring. Some of these forbidden places are locked away for good reason. Take Secrecy, the volcanic island off the coast of Iceland. It emerged from the sea in the 1960s, a newborn land created by fire and ash. To step on it today without permission is to risk contaminating an untouched, natural laboratory, an experiment in real time, showing how life takes root on barren land. By keeping people out, scientists preserve a living timeline of creation. Or consider the Lascaux caves in France. The prehistoric paintings within are more than 17,000 years old. Masterpieces left by ancestors who saw the world differently than we do. For years, tourists poured in to marvel at them. But the heat and breath of human bodies nearly destroyed them. Now the caves are closed, protected from us, so that the art may survive millennia longer. In both cases, mystery is not a barrier, it's protection. By staying away, we ensure that fragile wonders endure. Other places are forbidden not to protect them, but to protect us. Snake Island, off Brazil, is a perfect example. A single step onto its rocky shores could be fatal. It is home to one of the world's deadliest snakes, the golden lancehead viper. So venomous it can melt flesh. Its bite gives humans almost no chance of survival. The island is sealed off, not because it hides treasure or secrets, but because entering it is simply too dangerous. Or look at North Sentinel Islands in the Bay of Bengal. The Sentinelese people who live there have chosen isolation for thousands of years. Any attempt to contact them ends in violence, and not because they are cruel, but because contact would destroy them. Exposure to outside diseases could wipe them out in weeks. Their hostility is their protection, and so the island remains forbidden. Here the mystery is not for our entertainment. It is a line drawn by life itself. And then, there are the places sealed by human choice. Area 51 in Nevada, perhaps the most famous secret place on Earth. Its very name has become a symbol of conspiracy and hidden truth. Decades of rumors about UFOs, alien technology, and experimental aircraft have turned it into a cultural icon. But behind the fences, the reality is probably more mundane. A testing site for military aviation, where the most advanced and classified technology is born. Still, the refusal to explain fuels the legend. Silence creates mystery, and mystery creates power. The Vatican's secret archives hold a different kind of power, stretching for miles beneath the Holy See. The shelves are said to contain some of history's most valuable and controversial documents, letters from kings, trials of heretics, maps of lost lands. Very few people are ever allowed inside. The rest of us are left to wonder what truths about history, faith, or humanity lie locked behind those doors. These places remind us that knowledge itself can be dangerous, that sometimes secrecy is not about walls or weapons, but about the weight of truth. Why are we so drawn to these places? Why do stories of forbidden islands and secret bunkers capture our imagination? More than any ordinary landmark, psychologists suggest that mystery taps into a fundamental part of the human mind. Curiosity is not just a trait, it is survival. For our ancestors, curiosity meant finding new lands, discovering new food sources, or inventing new tools. But curiosity also meant risk. Exploring the unknown could bring reward, or it could bring danger. That same instinct lives in us today. When a door is locked, we want to open it. When a map shows a blank space, we want to fill it. When someone says, "You can never go there," a part of us immediately whispers, "But what if I did?" Mystery sharpens our imagination. The absence of answers, we create our own. That is why Area 51 becomes a home for aliens, why Medjugorje is whispered to hide doomsday bunkers, and why the Vatican archives are said to contain evidence of ancient secrets. In reality, the truth may be less dramatic, but the stories we tell give mystery its power. Yet perhaps the most important lesson of all is this: not everything is meant for us. Some mysteries exist not to be solved, but to be respected. The Sentinelese deserve their isolation. The Lascaux paintings deserve their protection. The natural laboratory of Secrecy deserves its purity. If we were to break down every locked gate, trespass on every forbidden island, and pry open every vault, we might satisfy our curiosity. But we would also destroy what makes those places special. Mystery is not always a problem to be solved. Sometimes it is a gift. In the end, that may be the greatest truth of these 10 forbidden places. They keep wonder alive. In a world mapped by satellites and photographed by drones, it's easy to believe there are no secrets left. But there are hidden caves, sealed archives, guarded gates, and islands that remain untouched. They remind us that the Earth still holds corners we cannot reach, and perhaps never should. And maybe that's a good thing, because without mystery, without wonder, the world would be a much duller place. So the next time you look at a map and see an island you can't visit, or read about a cave you'll never enter, don't see it as a barrier. See it as a reminder that despite all our knowledge and power, the Earth still whispers secrets beyond our grasp. And those secrets keep the flame of human curiosity alive. Till next time, keep wondering, keep exploring, and never stop asking questions.